Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco dish out on the movies. Today we are reviewing episode 4 of Dark Winds, and it's called
Season 2.
The March.
And guess what, Safi?
What?
Only 2 episodes left of Dark Winds. You know what we're going to be able to say next week?
I hope that we'll say that it was better than this week.
Only 1 episode left of Dark Winds. Stay tuned for a series that nobody cares about. It will probably be only 6 episodes to take its place after it's over.
Well, I wouldn't go that far because I know a lot of people care about it, but a lot more care
I said,
about it.
like, you know how, like, after a really important good show plays, they'll always, like, bring on, like, some crappy show that nobody cares about, like, you know, not that it was a bad show or it looked bad, but after Breaking Bad ended, they're like, look at the sneak preview of Low Winter Sun, and it's like, Safi, that show went on for 1 season.
I was going to say, I never even heard of it.
It's never been talked about again since it came out. And it always seems to happen, like you have a really good show and then after it goes off, some random shit. And what's going to replace this, do you know?
Is it some kind of supernatural or Dracula story? I don't know.
Oh, Safi.
I don't know.
Well, we should find out for next week. Because I'd be curious to see, like, what was so important that they couldn't give the show 12 episodes, that they had to end it early and rush it to an end again? What show was so important that they had to do that?
I don't know. It's just terrible. But anyway, well, this show did not have much variety.
Yeah.
And attention to different characters, like maybe in the at least first episode, maybe the second, really scant attention to any character but Joe Porn and the bad guy. I don't exactly know or remember what his name is.
I saw on IMDb his name is like Colton.
No, that's a perfect name for him. Yeah. He looks like a Colton.
I prefer to just call him like the Mysterious Man or something because, I don't know, like I prefer it that he's like mysterious and not like a human person. Like he I don't know.
He's very blonde and he's almost an albino. That's what he kind of reminds me of. That. Oh, there's been a couple of like a supernatural mystery thriller type shows with an albino bad guy, and he reminds me of that guy in a way. His hair isn't quite white, it's very blonde, very, very blonde, and he's pale, and he's a very big guy too. I'd say he's probably, well, I don't know, what do you think, 6 feet 1, 2? I mean,
maybe.
He's pretty big, and he's worked out, so he's just in great shape.
He looks like kind of like a fitness model or an underwear model.
Oh yeah, he could be a model. Yeah.
These underpants.
The model.
These underpants are the bomb.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason why Marco and I are talking about this guy's looks so much, not like just his face or his hair, because almost, I'd say, God, how long would you think? At least 50% of the episode? Joe Porn and
70%.
It was a lot. He, the guy who plays Joe Porn, he's a lithe, shortish, and I hate to say that, maybe a medium, but he's very skinny and very flexible, and he's, but still, he's a lot shorter and skinnier and I think he might be older. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, that's Joe This
has become like a weird thing, like, when you're describing like a suspicious person that you saw to the police, and it's like, how big is that guy? What did he look like? What did he weigh?
Well, I don't want to.
Like,
I
that's
don't
what
want to
you're-
insult anybody, any actor or anything. But the way they have them in the, and I don't remember
I
in
think
the
that
book.
that one guy's a medium with small shoes and medium shirts, and he's a little bit medium like Safi.
He was short, and this guy, other guy, is younger, taller, and more like he's been working out. And you have Joe Leaphorn dragging or pulling this guy throughout almost the entire episode.
Well, let's go
and
through.
we're not on that yet, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's
well,
the
you
two
just got
versus,
onto it.
Okay, well, I'll just say it's the two versus each other for almost the whole episode.
Okay, first off, it starts off with that extremely anticlimactic opening of the first episode where, you know, they ruined it because it's like, oh, after only 3 episodes, Joe Sleephorn is saying, I'm tired of chasing this guy.
Yeah.
Like, you've been chasing him for 3 episodes. Like, that's not exactly very much.
And they're back at the trailer now. They've gone full circle. They remember they said it was a few days ago, so they did everything from at the very first episode. They're at the trailer. It's a shootout. They have to hit the floor, and the guy has a military assault type rifle. I mean, it's something that looks like he went to the military hardware store, not it's anything you could even get. And it's heavy duty, and he picks it up like it's a feather. That's what I say. He's worked out, and he shoots his trailer all up. Well, that was in the first episode, and then we say, okay, 5 days later or 3 days later, whatever it said. Well, now we're back to the
And
beginning.
let me just reiterate, that was terribly done, which is too bad because I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. Instead of doing what they did in season 1, where they showed like the past, they're showing the future first. And I thought, ooh, but they did a terrible job with that concept.
It was different. I have to agree. I don't know if it worked for me either.
Because it's like, it's so anticlimactic. It's like, okay,
Now we're back
I
to
guess.
square one,
yeah.
basically. And really we were. And but let's talk about the little catch. And Marco was reading an IMDb review of the show last night. It's something that I saw, it just didn't register. Something that he missed.
I couldn't see it either because it was so dark and...
It was very dark and it was hard to see. We watched it at night too, and it was just very difficult. I don't know, to see. I guess maybe I have terrible eyesight.
It's funny because since this show is like a smaller show, you know, they're not paying people to do fake reviews like they did with Better Call Saul season 6, where, you know, all those reviews were fake and paid for. So there was this guy and he said, why did Joe Sleephorn leave the keys in the car in the ignition? And then why did the bad guy run to the car like he knew that the keys would be in there?
Yeah. And basically that's what happened. Why would a police person of any kind, anywhere, in this country or any other country, leave their keys in the car? And I know this is out in the middle of nowhere, but still, that is so thoughtless and totally, I mean, you're not even a policeman anymore. You're thinking about your revenge, or you're gonna get them.
And that was him the whole episode, where he's completely out of character. He's not the character at all from the show.
Marco thought he was from Fargo.
Yeah, like, it was really bad. I was like, he went from, like, the way he was in season 1 was, like, too low energy and, like, really, like, boring and lifeless. He went from that to, like, the opposite of that in this episode, to the point of where it was really bad. Because I could tell, even though I haven't read the books, I could tell this is not the character at all.
Joe Lee Porn's character, he is a cop. He can come up on dangerous situations. One of the books, he gets shot up real badly. Takes a long time to recover. I'm not saying that he shouldn't do that, but he's more thoughtful, and things are planned out. I've seen other people post this. I've mentioned it before. He had a map, and he put little colored pins on it. The colored pins each color would mean something, and actually that's good for, like, let's say you have a bunch of crimes. Well, you could see that they all occur around a certain area of the reservation. They can mean something once you have them all out there. But my point is that he's very thoughtful. And this episode, he completely loses his mind. Because you know why? Because his son was killed.
And of course,
in a mine bomb.
That's not from the books.
No.
But even so, we talked about this, and I said, I guarantee even if the character in the book lost a son, he wouldn't be acting like this.
I don't think he would either. And because it just doesn't match his personality. You can't. I mean, what are people doing? Why are you changing their characters? They don't need to be changed. They're really good the way they are. That's why people read all those books.
Yeah,
and they're continuing to read them because they like the characters the way they are.
And yeah, I don't know why they do that either.
And the actors are perfectly capable of being those characters. They're not dumb and they're not bad actors. They can do it. Why can't you trust them to do it?
Yeah.
And it's just so irritating.
And the first thing that he does, after the keys, the first thing he does after that's really stupid.
Really stupid for anybody.
They shoot their own car, the bad guy gets away, and, he's okay with jumping out windows, so, he jumps off a cliff. And, Joe Sleephorn, he looks down and he says YOLO, and then he jumps off a cliff.
In the dark. They don't even have a flashlight. He didn't, I guess maybe they do. Maybe. I don't know. I don't even remember a flashlight. Yeah, they do. They had flashlights, but still, when he jumped off, there was no light illuminating the bottom where he would jump, like, okay, I'm going to jump down here, or I'm going to climb down here. So I'm going to shine the light on here, because this is the middle of the reservation. There are no street lights. There are no airport lights or fast food or
How
anything.
Do you know?
There's nothing. It's dark.
How do you know there's no, Area 51 lights from, some secret alien bases around,
Well, there just wasn't anything from what I could see, and I don't think there was even a full moon.
And
they had nothing. And he jumped off in the dark off of a ledge.
We were both like, what?
Flabbergasted.
What the hell is this?
And then he woke up because guess what he did?
He knocked himself out and he broke his wrist.
He had to fashion a splint for his wrist, and he was in horrible pain. And he still went after the guy.
That's pretty bad.
He went continuing on when it got light out, of course, and he was awake from being knocked out. And he did have a bag with him. I remember that. I don't know what was in the bag.
Piña nuts?
No, it was like a bag where he would have equipment, but I don't know what the bag was.
That scene was literally you could make a meme where where they say if your friends jumped off a cliff, would you jump off of one? And then you see Joe Sleephorn jumping off a cliff.
I don't think he would have done that in the book. I don't think anybody who grew up, even if they left for a while, the reservation, the country, we used to live in the country. We didn't have any street lights, and you just had to be careful what you did in the dark. I mean, there were skunks and all kinds of crap out there. You had to be careful. Plus cars just all of a sudden appearing. Of course, they would shine a light with their headlights. You don't even have that in the reservation. There is no light. And he jumps off, he jumps off a ledge in the dark. That is just completely irresponsible, and that just even if he was thinking about his son who was killed by this guy, probably
by the time he woke up from knocking himself out, he could have found a safer alternate way down there.
Yeah, or waited until first light.
But
I don't know, but what he did there was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I couldn't believe they would make him do that.
That's such a cliche too, where like
I don't know what it is. I think it was stupid.
It's a cliche like where a character jumps off from a high place and you think they're dead, and then you see, oh look, they're fine.
Okay, well then he comes upon the guy, and I don't know.
He knocks him out. He kicks him in the head and knocks him out. And the rest of the episode, Safi's going to probably go into more detail, but I just want to say...
There's nothing much to say. There's not much detail there.
Well, just more specific stuff. I'd just like to say, like, it was a complete ripoff of Hell on Wheels, the episode called Two Soldiers, which... that episode was pretty good, actually, and that felt more like a series finale than the actual series finale. And it was another AMC show, and Safi even agreed, like, it was straight up like a ripoff, because the main guy, he chains himself to the bad guy, and they go on a voyage through the desert to the nearest, like, law enforcement, so that he can turn the bad guy in. And that's literally it. All the stuff happens from that episode basically happens in this one. All of it. So I felt like, even if it all wasn't trash, because it felt like a Fargo episode too, because it wasn't the character at all.
It was the character from Fargo.
Even if it was good and it made sense, when you do a rip-off of an episode that was really good of television, then it's always going to be compared to that episode, and in this case, that episode's just a million times better. Like, I would give that Hell on Wheels episode like an A-, maybe an A. And, I wouldn't do that for this episode.
Well,
what would you give that Hell on Wheels? Do you remember it enough to give it a grade?
I probably would have given it a good grade. That Hell on Wheels show was really good. And it was good for wanting to know more about history, about that historical time period. I think that's always a good thing. Well, let's get back to the show we're reviewing.
Well, it ripped that off.
Well, let's move on.
That was this whole episode was like just copying that.
So, just to end what happened, because they just kept going and going, there was a struggle, and at one time they came up to a fence, like a barbed wire, and the bad guy, God, what did he do? He suddenly jerked him, and...
Well, you didn't mention how the whole episode, Joe Sleephorn has him in a noose, and he's, like, torturing him, and the bad guy says, my foot is hurt, and his voice is very funny. It's like, it's not the voice you'd expect.
Not to go with that physique.
He's like,
my foot is hurt, wah.
And then the guy...
He had hurt his ankle.
And then Joe's like, take your shoe off, biatch.
And he made him walk in the desert, which it is like a rocky,
and I felt like
desert.
I swear to God, number one, that's not the character. He'd never do that to the bad guys. Number two, he would get in serious... He should get in serious trouble for doing that from the lawyers and everything, for knowing he has an injury and then torturing him like that. Like, that's pretty bad.
I don't know. It's the West, and sometimes I think law enforcement and even on a reservation they could get away with, I don't know, doing a little bit more abusive behavior than normal.
But do you want Joe Sleephorn to be doing abusive behavior?
No, that's without out of character.
He's a good person, not a bad person like the real life types that law enforcement
No,
who abuse their power.
Yeah, I don't know, but it just goes on, and there's a struggle. He kind of gets away, and then Joe Leaphorn got him again. But then, what we have, Emanuelita and Sheriff, oh God, what's his
Sheriff,
Sheriff
NPC.
I can't remember his name. Sheriff, God, sorry. They're on, just them, all right? They're both on horseback, and they have followed, I guess they thought they followed, Joe's trail. And so she...
No, we can't get there yet, though. We have to first talk about the cliches and then the pointless subplots that were like painful to the ears and eyes.
One subplot was Jim Chi. He's in his hotel room for some reason. Why isn't he living? In the book he lives in a trailer, and which is kind of like a normal thing for out there, and. He's in his hotel room, and that Mrs. Fines, who smokes like a chimney, and she didn't have it with her, at least not to the hotel room.
And see, that aspect is totally lost to me, because I can't tell. I thought she just had a respiratory problem. I didn't know that she was like a smoker, because they have that agenda now where they can't show smoking in television and movies. So like, I would never have been able to tell that she's a smoker at all. She doesn't have a smoker's voice. She sounds like a normal woman.
That's because she doesn't smoke, probably in real life.
Well, why couldn't they have her smoke the whole time? Like, why do they have to bitch out?
I don't know. But she comes to his hotel room, and she gives him another wad of cash and said, "This is for your troubles." And wouldn't she say it's for the deaths of... It was
those guys, those some guys. I don't
white
know.
Guys. I'm not even sure. And I'm sorry, I don't remember. It's just it went
it
by
was
so quick, and
forgettable.
It was really, it was unnecessary. But he said, "Well, what about the Navajo people who were killed?" And then he proceeds to say, the guy who went there to steal the box, his uncle, or I don't know, the uncle stole the box, and his son, or his son stole it, whichever one, but they both were killed by the guy. And then he tried to kill the little boy, sorry about that, and but still, they did get killed, the boy's dad and his uncle.
And then after...
And I don't think she knew about it.
After the smoker leaves, the non-smoker leaves with her little... she never did that in that scene where she, has to adjust the tank. That would have been funny. Like, Safi, wouldn't that be hilarious? Why haven't they ever done that on Saturday Night Live where, like, you have, like, a group of people with, like, breathing tubes or breathing tanks, and they're all, like, making each other laugh or something, and they have to keep on adjusting their oxygen tanks?
I don't know, that'd be something.
That'd be pretty hilarious.
That'd be pretty good. They could do something with that. Well, anyway, her husband shows up, and he has a gun, and he draws it on Jim Chi and says, "Okay, you're having an affair with my wife." And he's like, "Huh? Are you out of your mind?" And then he told him he was a private investigator and that she had paid him to go get his box. And then that he had to take the gun away from him before he could explain it, because the guy was just intent on him being a bad person. And then he wants to hire Jim Chi because he thinks his wife's having an affair, which I don't think she is. And I don't think she was in the book either. So I don't know what that was all about. I thought that was stupid and queer and unnecessary. And
Yeah, I was like, Safi,
but I guess he got a wad of cash out of
is
it.
any of this stuff in the book? Like, is
No.
any of this stuff?
I don't think so. I don't remember. Just the whole thing. He wouldn't have been in a hotel room anyway. He had a trailer.
But this is like noir. In a noir movies, you're in a motel room.
I guess, but this is on a reservation, and I don't know. It's just stupid. But anyway, then we have another little story. Maybe Marco want to do that, the Mary Landon thing, which I'm not happy about at all. I just want, and I guess they had the little thing. She's there at the clinic again, and that girl who is.
As soon as she came on screen, we were both like,
And I hate her hair. Her hair makes her look fat.
Yeah.
And it just is not the character. I'm sorry, because that's just a personal attack, and that's not right. But still, she's just not the character that was in the book. I'm sorry.
I don't know what
wish they would stay a little bit truer to in personality and looks than what they're doing.
I don't know what the fuck was up with that. Like, I was like, Safi, I might as well go, like, play a video game or something and come back when this pointless scene is over.
Well, what happens is the girl who's living with the Leaphorns, remember, she had a baby, her husband was abusive, and I don't think she wanted to have the baby. I think, to me, it was implied she wanted to have an abortion, but she didn't. She had the baby, and she doesn't think the baby likes her. I think the baby has croup, and if anybody, not croup, what is it, colic, has a colic
You think the
problem.
baby has crabs?
Colic! Anyway,
What's
I have a
that?
best friend whose first child had colic, and I remember her crying, calling me up and crying, so-and-so won't stop crying. He cries all the time, and he's miserable. His doctor says he has croup. Well, croup, colic. They both start with the letter C. Sorry. And he just won't stop, and it took a long time for him to get over it. And anyway, the baby constantly cries. She thinks the baby doesn't like her because she doesn't really like the baby either, because if she had it with her husband who's very abusive and controlling. And
she holds her innocent baby accountable for her former partner's actions.
I don't know about that.
Pretty
She didn't want to
interesting.
be with them anymore. So Mary Landon was starting to, she was going to ask her questions, gave her card, because she's looking into this program where Native American women were sterilized when they got in this program. Back to the coughing. Gotta take a drink.
And while Safi takes a drink, we'll just move on from this pointless scene.
Well, it actually, the story did come up because she started, really, she went on and on to Emma later on back at the house about having this baby, and she said, and Emma said, well, I protected you. I guess they were going to sterilize her. And she said, I protected you. I wouldn't let them do it to you. And so they did bring it up again, away from Mary Landon, back at the house.
Let's not call her Mary Landon, because apparently that's not the character. So let's call her.
But that's who she is.
Let's call her. I don't have a clever nickname yet because her character's just so trash.
Well, she's reporter girl. That's all I have to say. But go ahead, Marco.
The girl has a crybaby fit to Emma, and the whole time I was thinking, oh shit, this bitch, she's gonna leave her baby with the sleep
that's what I thought
horns,
too.
and she's gonna run off like a little bitch, and that's the whole point of this, is that they lost a son, but they gained another.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I
like
think.
what the
That's what I thought too, and it'll be interesting to see if that's what happens, because I really felt like that's what they're aiming to do.
Why? Just do a mystery.
I don't think that would happen either in real life. I just don't believe it. I don't think she would give up her baby like that and just leave because she doesn't like the baby, or she thinks the baby doesn't like her. I think that's more Western.
That's another thing that's like
culture.
Very modern. Yeah. That was like a very modern feminazi type of touch.
Well, I just thought it's not. I don't think that's Native American. I don't think that's Navajo to do that kind of thing. And
Navajo people wouldn't do something like that.
I don't think they would. So I didn't like that either.
But California people would. California women.
Marco, what are you doing?
They probably throw their babies in the dumpster.
Now, Marco's just kidding, and I wish he wouldn't say stupid stuff. But both of us we don't like that storyline. We don't like this Mary Landon. Marcos hasn't read the book, but I did, and anybody like me who's read it, she was a teacher.
Every AMC show, too, that's another thing that's funny. Every AMC show has, that one really annoying female character that you just want to erase from history. Breaking Bad had Skylar until she became likable in seasons 4 and 5. Better Call Saul had Kim. And Hell on Wheels had multiple, like the prostitute and the reporter and...
I like the reporter, and I like the prostitute. I don't know what he's talking
prostitute
about.
Was trash, Safi.
I liked her.
That stupid-ass ending where she rides off into the sunset with the money, that was stupid. And the things that she... never mind.
Okay, let's not
but
go on
every AMC show, every AMC show has, that one female character that they need to get rid of.
I just don't understand... Ann Hillerman is on the production staff of this show, and this does often happen when you write a book and somebody does the movie of it or a show, and they get so off track that the author gets pissed off.
Yeah, and I think that the writers who wrote this episode, they need to get off of the weed. Because there's real Navajo writers inside of them. Right, Safi? Remember that?
And this is, and they've said this about the show, this is a Native American or is it a Navajo? They don't just have all Navajos, because, none of these main actors are Navajo. The only main actor who's Navajo is Emma, and maybe that single girl. She might be real Navajo.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, he said this is a Native American only writing room. And they have to stop thinking about, what if Western people like? Why would you do that?
Well, that's what it
seems like.
Well, it does, especially, you said in an interview, they were like, we really wanted to make this season action-packed. And I feel like the action... quote unquote, because there really wasn't any action this episode except for a couple of tussles in the snow. The action was overtaking the story and the mystery, and I feel like focus on adapting the books.
Oh, I do want to
because
say...
that'll be a good show.
Well, I do want to say that the bad guy, he says, why are you doing this? Why are you being so abusive, and why are you just so focused on me, and why this whole thing? And he said, this is personal. This is why you're doing that, and it is personal. It's true. But he said, that lady was your mother, wasn't she? And I'm like, oh God, he killed that woman.
Yeah.
Where he took the horse. That's what I implied to me. So I just wanted to bring.
I guess so. Yeah.
Because what other woman would he be talking about?
They had another really stupid cliche with that whole story.
They don't even know she's dead.
They had this whole cliche where Joe Sleephorn is going to shoot him.
They did that a couple times.
And then the bad guy is like, we're just alike. And I was like, ugh! That's another cliche. Like, God, how many cliches are they going to go through this episode? Ugh! We're just alike. Ugh! What is this, The Dark Knight? Ugh! It's not 2008 anymore. Ugh! And
why would he say that? This is a effing...
That makes no sense.
Killer. I can't even imagine him saying anything.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. He talked like the whole episode.
He did talk a lot. He had a lot of lines.
You said he doesn't talk.
No.
Would he have talked?
Not in
the book?
Well, only time he ever talked was like, and they've already showed at least 2 scenes where he's in a bar and he's talking to an investigator who he's paid to look for his mother. That's the only time he's ever, in the book, he ever talked.
So in the books, he never tries to pick up Emanuelita?
No.
So, and then they show Emanuelita and the gang catching up to them just in the nick of time where
she's by herself, though.
It's going to be a plot convenience where she comes right at the certain moment that, we knew that she'd be there. We hear a gunshot, and apparently it's just Joe shooting the gun in the air for no reason. And
that was another weird thing.
Yeah.
Don't know what he did this for, but he emptied all of his gun out.
Yeah.
All of the bullets except
for one. I was like, what's he going to do?
What in the heck?
I thought he was going to play like Russian roulette with the bad guy.
I knew he wouldn't do that. That's not something that novels do.
It's something that this character in this show, in this episode, would do.
But I don't think he wouldn't have done that in Fargo either.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
And he wouldn't empty his gun. My God. I was like, what the hell? What kind of law enforcement officer empties their gun?
That's like
Jeez.
That's like Barney Fife with the one bullet.
Even in the book, Julie Porton wouldn't have emptied his gun. Come on. I don't know. Tell me, if you have feedback on what that was supposed to be, let us know, okay? Because that's just not right.
And that's what the whole episode, that was our experience, was like just sitting there wondering what was going on and why was it so bad. And then at the end, they took the bad guy in, and that was another weird thing, because Safi said that they chased him back into where he came from or something. And
yeah, that's what I thought, that in the book, he left the area. And then they went back to where he came from, and they found out more about his background. And there's nothing about his background. So understand why he is the way he is.
Oh yeah, we forgot another pointless scene where it felt like a 90s thriller scene where we're at the Vines' house.
Oh,
and
this was at the end, actually.
And the husband gives her a necklace that says faithful, and she says, I don't deserve this, and he double talks, and he talks about like the hunter and its prey or something, and that scene was weird and kind of out of place. It was like, oh, here's another random vignette.
No. That's just, it didn't belong.
Was that in the book?
No.
And then at the very end, the ending was probably the stupidest part of the whole episode, actually. Because the ending, they're all sitting in the jail cell in complete silence.
And Joe his face is all filthy, and he's almost like he's in trance.
Yeah.
And then he's in horrific pain because he broke his wrist, and so it's all wrapped up. And during one of those tussles with the bad guy, where the bad guy kind of got loose a little bit, the bad guy grabbed his wrist and squeezed it and maybe hit it against the ground, and so I mean that made it even worse, of course. And so he was in terrific pain. Didn't even have any water. They show him he doesn't even have any water. They've been in the desert. And it was cold too, because guess what it started to do? And I think it really probably was. It was snowing. I could be wrong.
It was snowing.
It seemed cold there. It seemed cold there the whole series. That they filmed it the time of year, and because of what they were wearing, and you can just tell. And then it started to snow, which was interesting. And like where they ended up, and they got, Emanuelita showed up. There was snow on the ground, like an inch, at least. So
that ending scene though was really confusing. Like everyone is just sitting there in silence, and we were like, "What's going on now? Like, what kind of weird shit is going on now that, isn't like what it is in the book?"
Yeah, I don't, and the sheriff, or at least the elder guy who is above Manuelita, I think that's Sheriff Largo, Captain Largo. I'm not positive, but I don't know who else.
Why were they playing the quiet game, Safi?
I don't know. And they had locked the bad guy up. He was in jail cell. So, which I don't remember that happening. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read the book again.
Yeah, this whole episode.
I'm afraid to do it too, because of what I've seen is just, I know that didn't happen.
And this whole episode just made me think, I'd rather just read the book now, because the book sounds like it's better than the show.
Yeah, I had to remind Marco that in the book series, and I didn't realize it either, because, I read them a long time ago, read them years ago, and some of the books are just Jim Chi, and solving the case with a little bit of help from Joe Leaphorn, but maybe like some he had a question for him or something, he answered it on the phone or whatever, or you had some of the books were just Joe Leaphorn with a little bit of assistance maybe from Jim Chi, so they weren't completely together solving mysteries in every book. That's just not what happened.
Well, I just feel like it's a show.
I just want to make sure that I know that.
It's a show, and Jim Chi was not even in this episode hardly at all.
No, he wasn't.
There's 2 episodes left in the season, and I just feel like, I don't know. It's a weird feeling.
If they're all going to do all these other contrivances or manipulations, you think at least they would put them together.
Yeah. Because the first season, they were together, and that was much better.
Yeah, it was. It was like old times.
Old times?
Yeah, I meant back to the book series.
Oh, what does this season feel like?
I don't know what it feels like.
Fargo?
Like they're experimenting with ideas, and they don't really know.
And they don't have time. They don't have time to experiment. They've got 6 episodes.
When you have 6, we have talked about this. If you only have these limited amount of episodes, there's no room for error.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any time to correct the errors. You just have to slop through it, and it just is sloppy, and it's too fast, and you make up stuff that didn't happen. And then you've also been really, I don't think I've seen this, it's so drastic, but you've really messed up with the characters. I mean, you're really kind of turned the screws on them. I don't know why you would do that.
It's weird because The Alienist was a worse show than this, but the characters in The Alienist felt more like they would be in the book.
Yep, that's right. And I read that book too, so.
That's weird. I would give this episode a D+ because it was bad, and Now there's 2 left, and so the main concern I have too is like it feels like it's gonna be like turbo rushed now because they basically didn't do any mystery solving the whole episode.
I don't know.
So
Well, at the end of the book, near the end, I think it ends up at the Vines' place, the scenes, and now you've got this guy in jail, and I just don't know where they're going to go from there. Frankly.
they're probably gonna do the cliche thing where he escapes.
Well, I was thinking he might escape.
He explodes his way out.
He's not anybody to mess with. He's a cold-blooded killer. He's smart. And yeah, he could escape from there because those other people don't know. They just seem like they could really underestimate.
Maybe they should not have him talk too, because his voice is not intimidating. He sounds like an insurance salesman or something.
I don't know.
Or like a Mormon person.
Well, I gave it a C, but just because I'm happy that it's back on. I mean, I'm watching a second season of Your Honor, which is depressing, and then I'm watching Master Chef, and I kind of like that, although I think the judges act childish sometimes. And then I'm watching this, and I love going to that part of the country. Like I've already said a million times, it's a beautiful place to be. They call it New Mexico, and I know it's not. It's in Arizona. But the area out there, it's just, they show it with the Four Corners.
Lots of
with
human,
Utah and
lots
Mexico,
lots of human trafficking,
Arizona.
lots of abusive police,
Ah.
lots of crime.
You don't see that. And anyway, the food is really good. It's just a beautiful, and the sunsets and the sunrises are so beautiful. It's just like a magical place. And it's really cool. You go out there and you're in a whole different world because there's so many different cultures all blended together, all living in the same place. And it's amazing, these Navajos. Like I said, they're all spread out. You have this one tiny little house out in the middle of nowhere. At night, if you're out in the dusk, you can see coyotes running around. And anyway, it's just and then you see golden eagles and prairie falcons and Harris hawks, and it's just a really magical place. And I really, these books were a good way to, Tony Hillerman, captured a storyline with really good storylines with really good characters, but he also was able to capture the culture and the area, the environment, and mix that all together into really good stories.
All you have to do to capture the stories is by
good writing,
adapting the stories.
You don't have to. They don't have to make them exactly alike, but when you go completely out of character, like maybe making Manuelita want to go to the border patrol, or making Jim Chi and not really caring a lot about his culture. I mean, even the little Indian boy said, and this is something like, it's something like they do in Tanzania. When you see somebody, you greet them, and you say, how are you? And you don't. And if you say, I'm not fine, I'm in a bad mood, they think you're insane. But I mean, you do the series of greetings. And what they do in Navajo, they talk about, they say who they are, they talk about what clan they're from. It's usually more than one. And he didn't act like he knew what his clans were, and the little boy was saying, and he said it all in Navajo. And then Jim G answered, well, I'm in. And then he said it kind of in English. And then they figure out they're related somehow.
And how long are they gonna?
That's real. That's something they do.
How long are they gonna continue that with Jim Chi, where he's not the character?
I don't know.
There's only so far that you can go with that. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, and if he gets with that terrible Mary, if he gets with her, he's not going to become more in love with this culture. He's going to become more in love with the way that he's been these awful seasons of his character just being like, he kind of seems like a douchebag now, like some douchebag private investigator guy. Like, his character's trash.
Well, they're trying to make it as trash as they can, but he's not. You can tell.
Well, the actor's really good, so it's just too bad. Because it seems like he could be the character in the books.
Of course he could.
If they wrote it that way.
I don't know. But anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And become one of our subscribers. And I would love to hear your comments about what you thought about this episode. What you think about what they're doing to the characters. And other things. Just these technical things about cops leaving their keys in the car. And taking all their bullets out except for one. Jumping off a ledge in the dark.
Torturing the suspect. Violating his civil rights.
And I realize, like I said, the statures of two are opposites. Really. Just about. So maybe he had to take a little bit more. Because you know what it was like? It was like a rodeo. You know, when you, anybody's been to a rodeo, you know, you had the lasso and you have to get the calf. It is a calf scramble or something, and you tie up the feet, the legs together, and you have to do it in so many seconds, and if whoever does it the fastest wins. You know, there's all these rodeo things. That's what it reminded me, that he had them bound up like it was a rodeo, like, you know. And anyway, and you know the thing with the old lady, the Navajo woman being killed, you know, they always in the book, you had these random murders in the middle of the reservation, nobody's around, and somebody would come in, it would be their relative, and they said, nobody knows what happened to Mama Minnie Salts. You know, that'd be like the name. We can't find her. She didn't show up today at the rug auction or something. And then they go out to the place and they find out she was dead. It's like, nobody knows she's dead. It was just that thing. The guy said, oh, this is personal. That lady must have been your mother. Like, oh no, he did kill her. So nobody even knows she's dead. And I know, that's just a little detail, you know, really, with the limited amount of episodes they have, maybe they just can't attend to that.
And I'm hoping that the finale will not be a short finale too. You know, like with the first season.
I don't know.
Where it was like 30 minutes and we were like, what the hell?
I don't know where they're going to... They still don't understand, too, you know, this thing with the sterilization of women. That is a humongous issue. Huge. And the thing about the mines being, you know, Vines has this mine. There's no uranium they can use from it. There's no oil. So why is he building a mine? Why does he want it? And that's really kind of an issue that goes with this mystery. And I just don't see where they're going to go with this and how they're going to find that out.
In two episodes.
Yeah. So if you people have an idea about that, let me know. I'd like to know. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.